Q7121. When are ATIS broadcasts updated? A. Only when the ceiling and/or visibility changes by a reportable value. B. Every 30 minutes if weather conditions are below basic VFR, otherwise, hourly. C. Upon receipt of any official weather, regardless of content change or reported values. The correct answer is C. ATIS broadcasts are updated upon receipt of any official weather, regardless of content change or reported values. This means that whenever a new official weather report becomes available, the ATIS is updated to incorporate the latest information. The frequency of ATIS updates is not based on fixed time intervals, but rather on the availability of new weather reports. This ensures that pilots have access to the most current weather information before they depart or approach an airport. The reason for updating the ATIS upon receipt of any official weather report is to provide pilots with the most accurate and up-to-date information. Even if there are no significant changes in the weather conditions or reported values, a new weather report may contain additional details or updates that could be important for flight planning and safety. By updating the ATIS promptly whenever new weather information is received, pilots can stay informed about any changes in weather conditions, such as changes in visibility, ceiling, wind direction and speed, temperature, and other relevant factors. This allows them to make informed decisions about their flight operations and adjust their plans accordingly. Overall, the primary purpose of updating ATIS broadcasts upon receipt of any official weather report is to ensure that pilots have the latest and most accurate information available, enhancing their situational awareness and supporting safe and efficient flight operations. 7122. When an air traffic controller issues radar traffic information in relation to the 12-hour clock, the reference the controller uses is the aircraft's A. True course, B. Ground track, C. Magnetic heading. The correct answer is B. When an air traffic controller issues radar traffic information in relation to the 12-hour clock, they are referring to the aircraft's ground track. The ground track is the actual path that the aircraft is following over the ground, considering factors such as wind drift. Unlike true course or magnetic heading, which are based on the direction the aircraft is pointing, the ground track represents the aircraft's movement relative to the Earth's surface. It takes into account the effects of winds and other atmospheric conditions that may cause the aircraft to deviate from its intended course. Using the 12-hour clock reference, the air traffic controller can provide precise positional information to pilots. For example, they may say, traffic at 3 o'clock, 2 miles, same altitude, opposite direction. This means that the other aircraft is located on the right side of the pilot's aircraft, approximately 90 degrees to the right, 2 miles away, and traveling in the opposite direction. By referencing the aircraft's ground track, the controller can help pilots visualize the position of other aircraft in relation to their own flight path. This information is crucial for maintaining safe separation and avoiding potential conflicts in the airspace. It's important for pilots to understand and interpret radar traffic information provided in relation to the 12-hour clock and respond accordingly to maintain situational awareness and flight safety. In summary, when an air traffic controller uses the 12-hour clock reference in radar traffic information, they are referring to the aircraft's ground track, which represents the actual path of the aircraft over the ground, accounting for wind drift and other factors. 7123. Which transponder code should the pilot of a civilian aircraft never use? A. 7500, B. 7600, C. 7777. The correct answer is C. When it comes to transponder codes, there is one specific code that the pilot of a civilian aircraft should never use, and that is code 7777. This code is reserved exclusively for military use and should not be selected or transmitted by civilian aircraft. Transponder codes are important for air traffic control to identify and track aircraft on radar systems. Using the correct codes helps ensure efficient and safe coordination of air traffic. However, the code 7777 is not meant for civilian aircraft and should be avoided to prevent confusion and potential disruptions in air traffic control operations. It's crucial for pilots to be familiar with the appropriate transponder codes and their designated uses. By using the correct codes, pilots can effectively communicate with air traffic control and contribute to the overall safety of the airspace system. 7123-1. When making routine transponder code changes, pilots should avoid inadvertent selection of which codes. A. 0700, 1700, 7000. B. 12,000, 1500, 7000. C. 7500, 7600, 7700. The correct answer is C. When making routine transponder code changes, pilots should be mindful to avoid inadvertent selection of certain codes. These codes are specifically designated for emergency or abnormal situations and should not be selected unless the aircraft is experiencing the corresponding condition. The codes to avoid are Code 7500. This code is used to indicate an aircraft hijacking or unlawful interference. If a pilot inadvertently selects this code, it may trigger a significant response from air traffic control and security authorities, leading to potential disruptions and delays. Code 7600. This code is used to indicate a communication failure or the inability to establish communication with air traffic control. Selecting this code without experiencing a communication failure can lead to confusion and misinterpretation of the aircraft's status. Code 7700. This code is used to indicate an emergency situation, such as engine failure, aircraft damage, or any other condition that requires immediate assistance. Choosing this code when there is no genuine emergency can divert resources and attention from other potentially critical situations. Pilots should exercise caution when changing transponder codes and ensure they select the appropriate code for their current situation. By avoiding the inadvertent selection of these emergency codes, pilots help maintain the accuracy and effectiveness of air traffic control services, minimize unnecessary disruptions, and ensure that genuine emergencies receive the immediate attention they require. 7117. The UNICOM frequency at airports with a control tower is A. 123.0. B. 122.95. C. 122.8. The correct answer is B. The UNICOM frequency, specifically 122.95, is commonly used at airports with a control tower for non-tower operations. It serves as a means of communication for pilots and ground personnel when they are not directly communicating with the air traffic control tower. At airports with a control tower, there are typically two main frequencies in use: the tower frequency, which is used for communication with air traffic control, and the UNICOM frequency, which is used for non-tower operations. The UNICOM frequency allows pilots to communicate with each other, request services from airport personnel, and coordinate activities that are not handled by the air traffic control tower. The UNICOM frequency, such as 122.95, is published in aeronautical charts and airport directories, making it easily accessible to pilots operating at airports with a control tower. By tuning in to the UNICOM frequency, pilots can stay informed about airport operations, receive pertinent information, and communicate with other pilots in the area. It's important to note that the specific UNICOM frequency may vary from one airport to another, so pilots should consult the appropriate charts or references for the correct frequency at their intended airport.